I posted my video on the DJI Air 3S. A ton of you guys have reached out and asked me, should I buy the Air 3S or like the one step down Mini 4 Pro? And it's a great question. There's only about a $350 difference between these two drones. But this isn't so much a question of which drone is better, but more which drone is best for you. Because they are both like two of my favorite drones out there right now. And most people, I usually push towards the Mini 4 Pro, but there's some big reasons why you would want to step up to the Air 3S. Let's break that down today. The first major difference between the two is obviously their size, like a massive size difference. This fits in such a small pocket in my bag. I can even take, like if I'm just going flying drones, I can take a really small bag with this guy and then the RC. I mean, like, look how small this setup, this is the whole deal right here. And this drone is coming in at 249 grams, which we'll get back to in a second here. This guy, obviously, it's like just like a much bigger setup. Like this is the bigger controller, but like, I mean, this is like a legit, this is a big drone. When I first got it, I was like, Air 3S, it feels as big as like our old Mavics. Just a lot more to pack with you. Like I'm going traveling, I'll be in Germany and Dubai, and like, oh man, listen, I would love to have the image and video quality of this drone, but it's real tempting to just have this little 249 gram thing in my bag. This guy comes in at 724 grams. Now, with that means that you have to register this drone with the FAA. Anything under 249 grams, 250 grams, this guy is 249 grams, you do not need to register this with the FAA. They basically consider it like a toy drone. And then anything over, which is every other drone out there, you have to register with the FAA. Now, that doesn't mean that there's two sets of rules. The FAA rules on drones are for everybody that's flying a drone, even if it's under 250 grams. So you still can't go above certain heights, you still can't go to certain places. The DJI Fly app will help you with most of that to let you know when and where you can and cannot fly. That is something to know. Before we get to any other specs, let me just go over price real quick, because I did say there's a $350 difference. This drone here starts at $750 or $759, but like that's a killer deal for this setup. And when you see the video coming out of this thing, you're like, for 750 bucks, you can get that? Kind of crazy today. Whereas this guy over here starts at $1,099, and that is for this guy. I think it's with the base remote. Like it doesn't have a screen on it or anything like that. And then both options offer fly more combos, and you can upgrade to the remote with the screen, which I highly recommend. So a couple of things that size and power relate to, and the big one is airspeed. This guy can fly at up to 48 miles an hour. For some reason, I was seeing people post that like this thing can go 60 miles an hour. I haven't seen it. This thing does not do 60 for me. It does 48 miles an hour top speed. This guy's top speed is 36 miles an hour. And you might just be like, well, I don't care. I don't ever need to fly that fast. But yes, you do, because of wind. So if I'm trying to go quickly, but the wind is pushing 20 miles per hour, I mean, 20 miles is a lot. Let's say it's pushing 10 miles per hour against you, and you're trying to keep up with a car or a dune buggy or something, and it's going 30 miles an hour that way. That's 40 miles an hour that you have to make up for. This guy can easily do that, where this guy will fall behind and it won't be able to keep up with the dune buggy or, you know, whatever you're doing. Something to note. Now, the battery on the Air 3S, this guy will give you 45 minutes of flight time. And then obviously if you get the Fly More kit, which I think you should with any of these drones, you've got 3 of those. So what is that? Like an hour and a half. It's like 2 hours and 15 minutes of flight time just in this little package right here. Like that is super impressive. This guy over here with the stock battery that keeps you under that 250 gram limit, you get 35 minutes of flight time, which is still a ton of flight. Like back in the day, listen, back in the day, 15, 20 minutes of flight time was like, oh my God, I can't believe you were able to fly for 20 minutes. That's crazy. 35 minutes is amazing. They do have an extended battery option for the Mini 4 Pro that gets you that 45 minutes. You are now over that 250 gram line, and now you got to register your drone with the FAA. There you go. Hey, let me take a quick minute to thank the sponsor of today's video, Bluetti. Recently, they sent me this thing. the Handsfree 2. And it's pretty rad. Let me show you how this backpack power station works. Right now, I'm charging up all my drone batteries on the go here from the 512 watt-hour battery built into the backpack. The reason I'm so stoked on it though is that it has storage for like everything. This is the Handsfree 2. They have a Handsfree 1 and a Handsfree 2, just 2 different sizes of backpack and 2 different sizes of power bank. And no matter where you are, you can be hiking up into the mountains with your drones and you can be charging those batteries from, it's a giant, a 512 watt-hour battery built into this thing. 2 USB-C 100 watt ports. You get the DC output there, and then you have an AC output up here, like wall power wherever you hike to. Head over to bluetti.com and they've got early bird pricing on this thing. So this one is the Handsfree 2, it's $399, and then they have the Handsfree 1 that's $299. That's just early bird pricing until I don't know, when it'll go up later. Okay, back to talking about these 2 drones. But let's get to cameras because look, these are flying cameras for the most part. I think FPV drones sometimes, like I fly FPV drones not to go film things, but more like I'm flying an RC car, but it's in the sky. Like it's fun to fly the thing. With these, I'm flying them because I'm trying to get a cool shot. And the camera systems on these 2 drones are very different. On the Mini 4 Pro, you have 1 camera. It's 24 millimeters, which is great for drones, and it is a 1/1.3 inch sensor, which is, it's a good size sensor. It's much bigger than we used to have on these drones, but that's the same size sensor as is in the DJI Action 5 Pro. So you have an action camera size sensor in this guy, and over here you have 2 cameras, but the main camera that is 24 millimeters has a 1 inch sensor in it, and that is like this guy, also from DJI. The 1 inch sensor on the pocket, it's like if you compared this camera versus this camera, you'd be like, oh, the 1 inch sensor makes a big difference. Now, it sounds like this guy is the winner all day, but there's one way within the camera system that this guy wins pretty big, and that is true vertical video. The gimbal on here, let's see if I can just do it by hand. Oh yeah, I can. Look at that, the gimbal on here can go vertical. So this drone, when you're flying it, you can click 4K vertical and the whole thing will go whoop whoop, and now you are using that full 4K sensor to shoot vertical. On the Air 3S, it's taking like this, it's basically just like shink, and it's slicing the 4K image. I think you end up with like a 2.7K vertical image on this guy, and on this guy you can shoot a full 4K image, which I wish every drone, like I don't know why, what is it that makes that so hard? Photo-wise, over here we have 50 megapixels out of the 1 inch sensor, 48 megapixels out of the 1/1.3 inch sensor, which makes sense because over here, out of the 1/1.3 inch sensor, 48 megapixels. And photos, like, I don't know, I don't do a ton of photos with drones. I'm mainly shooting video with drones, but they sure are good looking. And on the 1 inch sensor, and the last thing to mention is that the Air 3S has 42 gigabytes of internal storage. So 42 gigabytes, I mean, it's a good bit of video that you're gonna be able to go shoot without ever even having to put an SD card in here. And then of course, you pop an SD card in the back there, and now, you know, I put a 512 gigabyte card in there. Same on this guy, I put a 512. So you have tons of storage with the SD cards, obviously, but with this guy, there is some internal storage, which is nice. Okay, how to decide between these 2 drones in general. And this is such a generalization, but I think that if you're not shooting client work, like you're not taking photos or video for your business or someone else's business, I think most people should be flying the Mini 4 Pro. Like the video quality coming out of it, it looks incredible. The photos are great. Tracking is great. Like there's so much good about this drone, with the main one being that like when you pack this thing up, like man, you get like a good sense of scale when you're like, it's so little. It's tiny for a drone that can do what it can do, which is even why like going to Germany, going to Dubai, where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have all these really cool experiences. I would love like the best, highest quality photo and video for those experiences. Even me doing this channel for you guys, I'm like, I don't know, like, do I wanna pack this thing? Like this thing it's nice and the videos coming out of it, wow. But like, again, like the difference in the size of bird, it's a lot. I mean, it's a third. Like this thing weighs 3 times what this thing weighs and is at least double the size. You can save $350 over here. You can get a more compact drone if you're just going traveling and you're like, I just want some cool photos and videos of my travels and like some cool perspectives, like little clips to sprinkle into my videos. Man, you really you can't beat the value of the Mini 4 Pro. And then I think if you're like, my purpose, like you're like a photographer. You're like, I'm going on a trip just to shoot photos and videos for myself and I want them to be the best possible. Like, yeah, if you're someone that like doesn't mind packing the extra weight, the extra stuff in your gear, Air 3S is the way to go. Like, these two drones, man, like they've both like blown me away. For Germany and Dubai, I want this one. I want this one with me so bad. It's just like, I wanna know your thoughts. So down in the comments, the Air 3S versus the Mini 4 Pro. For you, which of these two drones makes the most sense? The people that have asked the question also, like after hearing all of this, which drone are you gonna go for? I always love hearing you guys' comments because they're always different. Like your use case is always gonna be different than my use case of how you're gonna go play with these cameras. So yeah, which one would you want? And I'll see you later.